Before we get back to the show, let me tell you about Bart's Pizza. Bart Basilico reinvented his father's pizzeria business by putting it on wheels. I'm talking a pizza food truck, baby. Bart and his wife Lauren travel all around Metro Detroit, cooking up homemade pies made fresh to order in their 4-layered pizza oven on wheels. You can find them on their website at eatbartspizza.com and Facebook and Instagram as well at Bart's Pizza. His last name is literally Basil, so you know he knows what he's doing. Make sure to grab a cannoli as well while you're there. Bart's Pizza, it's too good.
Yo, I'm Jake Masucci from Jake's Takes. I wanted to talk a little bit about my show on my guy Giovanni's own show. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about Jake's Takes. I'm a student manager at Oakland University, and I kind of just talk all things sports. I talk a lot about the NBA, talk a little college basketball. We did a lot of March Madness stuff recently. We talked about NBA playoffs, NFL playoffs, talked a lot about the NFL draft. It's basically just an all things sports show. I really think you guys would enjoy it. And shout out to my guy Giovanni. Love him. But please check out Jake's Takes. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and then it's also available on its own YouTube channel. So please check out Jake's Takes, but please continue enjoying Giovanni's show.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow, right here on 88.3 FM, WXOU, Auburn Hills, Michigan, Oakland University, and all your wonderful station identification features. We're not even on the radio right now, but I still give you the station ID, baby. That's how we roll. I'm your host, Giovanni Mosheri, sports media director here at WXOU, and the GioMoShow is your home for all Oakland sports and beyond on 88.3 FM. Don't forget to follow WXOU on our MAB award-winning social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And I'm also on those platforms as well, although I am not MAB award-winning. I think you guys should still give me a follow on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And the GioMoShow has its own Instagram page at the GioMoShow. And if you miss the GioMoShow on 88.3 FM live Thursdays at 6, normally, then you can find it at any time on YouTube or Spotify, which is where you're going to be finding this episode on right now. The reason for the GioMoShow not being live today was a few things. Originally, we were supposed to broadcast a women's soccer game that took place today, Thursday, the 21st, at 5:30. We were supposed to broadcast that. However, due to staffing shortages and we had a couple broadcasters that were out, we decided not to broadcast the game. But it was such a nice day out. It was sunny. It was 80 degrees. We're not going to get many days like that left. So I decided to go to the game itself and save the GioMoShow for a little bit later. You know, we're still staying involved in Oakland sports. We're enjoying the day. And I got to do a couple Grizz Visions with athletics. So that's always a lot of fun. So the GioMoShow is getting to you now at any time when you are now listening. But enough about that. Let's get into the show. What are we going to be talking about? If you're new to the GioMoShow, what do we talk about on the GioMoShow? Well, we talk about all things Oakland sports. We also talk about the Detroit Lions, and we also have fantastic interviews. Let me give you the rundown. We're going to start with women's soccer since, it's where I'm coming from right now, just coming fresh off of the game. We're going to get into men's soccer, and then finally we're going to wrap it up with volleyball. We're going to get into how the Lions did against the Seahawks in week 2 and how we're now 1-1. We lost in overtime at home. We'll talk about the implications of that and what we're looking forward to in week 3 against the Atlanta Falcons. And then the interview for this week. If you saw me on Twitter, you saw me give a little bit of a teaser, and I got a feeling that some of you guys had an idea of who I'm going to be talking to on this week of the GioMoShow, but the final reveal is here. We got Christian the Stache Stelling from Oakland University Baseball, now from the USPBL Eastside Diamond Hoppers, the Relief Pitcher of the Year nominee, came back there in the studio, sat on that couch, and we talked, and we're going to play it for you on the GioMoShow today. You can find it separately on YouTube and Spotify, as well as the rest of your GioMoShow features. But before we get started, the intro's long enough, but let's make it even longer. We got to talk about Bart's Pizza, baby. Bart Basilico reinvented his father's pizzeria business by putting it on wheels, and that means a pizza food truck, baby. Bart and his wife Lauren travel all around Metro Detroit, cooking up homemade pies made fresh to order in their 4-layered pizza oven on wheels. You can find them on their website at eatbartspizza.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Bart's Pizza. His last name is literally Basil, and if you need proof, go on the website and see what the first 5 letters of his name is. Yeah, that's 5. So you know he knows what he's doing with a last name like that. And while you're at the truck, get a cannoli as well. Those things go great with a fresh pie. Bart's Pizza, it's too good. All right, let's get to it. We're going to start with women's soccer. As I mentioned, the reason the GioMoShow wasn't even on air is because I was at the game in person today. It was a home Horizon League game against Northern Kentucky, who the men just played last Saturday, or obviously the men's team, but now Northern Kentucky, they made the trip for their women's team to the Oakland soccer field, and we're going to talk all about it. But we got to start this past weekend. Sunday, they played the Purdue-Fort Wayne Mastodons in their home Horizon League opener that ended in a tie 0-0. Let me read my notes again. Ended in a tie 1-1. That's more accurate. We had that game live on WXOU, and you can find it on WXOU's YouTube channel as well. We're now going to be uploading the full broadcasts of each game on our YouTube channel, and as well, we're going to work on getting some highlights as well. You know, maybe a chunk of highlights to go like the best calls of this month, this week, or whatever. We're cooking up ideas here at WXOU, but either way, the full broadcast is going to be there. You can also find the men's soccer game against Northern Kentucky. You can find the men's soccer game against Michigan, which we'll get into those in a little bit. And you can find the club football game on there as well. We'll give a little bit of love to the football team if there is time. But we're still talking about the women's soccer team. Get on with it, Jomo. Come on. So they ended in the game against Purdue-Fort Wayne 1-1. It was a score earlier in the game at about the 19th minute. A goal by, I believe it was a own goal. I didn't see it myself. I was working the studio that day, and even conveniently, the audio went out at the time of the goal. But I've been told it was an own. Told it was an own goal, and in the 19th minute, and then in the 75th minute, Oakland University got a chance of redemption with a penalty kick taken by their very own Macy Warengna, who sunk it in the back of the net to tie the game and give the Golden Grizzlies a tie, give them a draw as opposed to a loss. Purdue-Fort Wayne also had a couple of yellow cards in the game as well. Nothing too significant, but that's going to give the Golden Grizzlies a tie in the Horizon League. And then, just a few minutes ago, the women, they played Northern Kentucky in what was a tightly contested game. You can hear on Grizz Vision in the coming days what head coach Juan Pablo Favero had to say about it. And to give you the clip notes of it, he thought that the team came out a little bit lethargic in the first half. He was waiting for them to get that spark going a little bit. And you know, at halftime, he was telling his team what was up and got them going a little bit. They got scored on in the second half. I can't remember exactly what time it was, but towards the beginning of the second half, Northern Kentucky was able to get a goal, and it was a good offensive possession. It went, kind of went back and forth right in front of the net, and ended up going in. So the Northern Kentucky was up 1-0. But then, with only, I believe, about 3 minutes left to go in the game, Oakland had possession of it, and obviously they're on fire. They're firing on all cylinders, trying to save themselves from a loss and even go for 2 goals and get a win. And we saw one of Oakland's finest shooters. What was her name? And we saw one of Oakland's finest shooters, Frankie Mudd, number 12 for the Golden Grizzlies, sunk in the back of the net. She saw the goalie was out of position and decided that beyond the 18, almost at midfield, took that shot, went way over the keeper's hands, and then landed in the back of the net. Golden Grizzlies tied the game 1-1, and that's where the final score lies. Another tie 1-1 against Northern Kentucky. I was able to talk to Frankie about that shot as well, and she just told me that she just saw the keeper was out of position and decided to take it. Head coach, he said that secretly he knew that she was going to do it, but also secretly that he didn't know that was going to happen. They want to keep that a little bit of a secret in the Horizon League. But it was an exciting game to watch. It was exciting to get a couple interviews in as well. And it's going to be another exciting game. The women are going to be on the road for a little bit now, as they're not going to be returning until October 5th. They're going to be taking a couple trips around the Horizon League. On Sunday, they're going to be playing Cleveland State, and I don't quite have the rest of the schedule in front of me right now, but just be sure October 5th is when they're going to be coming back to town. Golden Grizzlies are currently 2-4-4, and now 0-1 in conference. Moving on now to the men's soccer team. You heard a couple of these games on WXOU. You heard the game against Northern Kentucky and the game against Michigan. I was calling the one on Michigan. Like I mentioned, I was in the studio for Northern Kentucky as well. I was in the studio on Saturday, 1 p.m. for the men playing the Norse, and I was doing play-by-play for the Michigan game. That one was a lot of fun, but let's get to Northern Kentucky first. And we're not going to cover it for too long, though. It was a 0-3 loss for the Golden Grizzlies in their home Horizon League opener. And there was just something with the intensity. There was something to do with the game plan there. It was their last game. It was their last game that they would have to play without head coach Eric Pogue, and something just seemed to be missing. Obviously, assistant coach of the Golden Grizzlies. I'm bad with the names. I can't remember the name right now. We'll put it on screen right here. Hasn't done a bad job in an interim spot, but you could tell that at least in that game against Northern Kentucky, there was a little bit more needed. So a 0-3 loss is what they're going to be recorded with. But they got it all back. They got the wind behind their sails right now. As last Tuesday, or a couple days ago, is the time of this recording, they played against the University of Michigan, who admittedly isn't doing so hot. I think they only had one win on the season, but still, you got Big Ten action coming into the Oakland soccer field. And the audience was there to match that kind of intensity. We had a packed house, a bunch of Michigan fans, a bunch of family of the Michigan players. I got to talk to a few of them. They're obviously very nice people. We got a ton of other Oakland athletes in the student section cheering on their fellow athletes. And me and Harjit Buttar, we were right next to it, getting all the action at the Oakland soccer field, and I learned firsthand that some of the names in soccer are very difficult. My apologies to Mr. Al-Hasnawi on Michigan's soccer team. I messed up your name like 3 times on air, but that is okay. In that game, the crowd, they had that big energy going all game long. It was back and forth between Michigan and Oakland. Everyone had their chance at offense. Everyone had about an equal amount of pressure, at least in the first half. It was a 0-0 tie coming into the second half. But the second half, that's when the fireworks, they started going. That's when they started going. We saw in the second half, defender Malik Sylvester on a corner kick came all the way across, got the header in off of a corner kick to give the Golden Grizzlies the first goal of the game, to break the seal for scoring. But Michigan was able to get one back at them. Ramos for the Golden Grizzlies was able to get it later in the game. Can't quite see what time it was at. We're pretending it's a live show. So Michigan was able to tie it 1-1. And then, with 5 minutes left to go, in the 85th minute, Oakland University had the winning goal by Donovan Phillip off of another corner kick. Oakland, I believe, had 9 corner kicks in the entire game. It was a dominant stat during the game. They had a lot of opportunities to do that, and with 5 minutes left, you see all the pictures, you see the videos on Oakland University on the Athletics social media page. It was a fantastic play. We'll get the highlight of my call of that out soon, but Donovan Phillip, he was in the right position, and that header, man, the play was just perfect. He swung around, he was running behind the goal, he got the slide going, he got his teammates involved, and with 5 minutes left, it was fantastic. It was a great show. That's where the scoring stopped. Oakland wins 2-1 against the University of Michigan in just an electric game. There was a lot of people there, and there was a lot of cheering fans there, and it was all fun. It was all fun and games, and the Golden Grizzlies come back with a win. First game back with head coach Eric Pogue, and you could tell that there was a bit of a difference there. I talked to Donovan Phillip after the game. We're going to get that interview up pretty soon on WXOU's YouTube channel. He talked to me about Coach Pogue, and he said, "Man, it's so great to have Pogue back. He just has that vibe. It feels different when he's back. And with 15 years of experience, I'm sure that you could feel that and tell the difference." So Oakland wins it 2-1 against Michigan. Their next game is going to be on the road this Saturday at IUPUI. And as it currently stands, the Golden Grizzlies are 2-4-1 and 1-1 in conference. That one win being 3-0 in Cleveland State's house. Cleveland State, who won the Horizon League last year. Let's put it that way. So just wanted to mention that. So we're 1-1 in conference right now, folks. And finally, for your Oakland sports update, we're gonna touch on women's volleyball. And I say women's as if we have a men's NCAA team. We don't. It's just volleyball. Giovanni, come on now. So the women were on a little bit of a road trip there. They were playing at the Saluki Invitational, where they played UT Martin and Southern Illinois. In those two matches, Oakland took UT Martin all the way to set 5, where Oakland won it 3-2. And this one was really close. You had the first set going 25-23 to UT Martin. You saw the next one have the scores flipped, 25-23. Oakland won the set. The third set was all Oakland, 25-13. You go to the fourth one, again, 25-23. This time to UT Martin. We go to set 5. Oakland gets it quickly, 15-6, to beat UT Martin in the Saluki Invitational. So that one, I'm sure, was a very exciting one to go to. We had Petty Cesarini with 16 kills. We had Emily Wickman with 31 digs. And we had Ainsley Goose with 7 blocks and Sarah Turner with 26 assists. And if I'm not mistaken, Patty Cesarini has surpassed 1,000 kills at Oakland University, and Emily Wickman has passed 1,000 digs for the Golden Grizzlies. So, that's going to be a very exciting one. That's got to be very exciting for them, I should say. The next match was against Southern Illinois. This one was not as glamorous as the one before. It was a 1-3 loss for the Golden Grizzlies. It was a tight one in the first set. Oakland won it 25-22. And then Southern Illinois, they went on their next 3 games to seal the deal. 25-19, 25-21, and then 25-20. Golden Grizzlies were putting up a fight, definitely, in all these sets, but a 1-3 loss is what's going to be on the record. They then traveled to Purdue-Fort Wayne to get the Horizon League action started. So far, their first Horizon League game this season was on the road at Purdue-Fort Wayne. And you get your brooms out, baby, because it was a clean sweep against the Mastodons. Oakland cleaned up house with a 3-0 win. Cesarini with 9 kills. Wickman with 23 digs. Ainsley Goose another 7 blocks. And Sarah Turner 22 assists in that game. Very similar to what we saw against UT Martin. Great numbers to get the Horizon League season started with a 3-0 win and now a 1-0 record. Or 1-0 record in conference. 7-6 overall. And the Golden Grizzlies, they have a weekend spent in the arena tomorrow, which is going to be Friday. And if you're listening to it, it might be today or it might be yesterday. You can listen to the GioMoShow anytime on YouTube and Spotify. You know the deal. But Friday and Saturday, they're going to be facing some Horizon League foes. Friday is going to be against Youngstown State, and then Saturday is going to be against Robert Morris. Check your calendars just to make sure I'm correct here. Making sure I'm correct here. 1 second. Yeah, we're going to trust that one. Youngstown State and Robert Morris. Be sure to get down to the arena and check your calendars for the time. You'll see me on Instagram talking about that when the games are. They got a lot of pizza coming in for Friday's game, so be sure to get down there, get a slice, get some volleyball in, get some Horizon League action, and cheer on your Golden Grizzlies. There's no better excuse to go somewhere than free pizza, baby. Come on now. Come on now. Let's get eating. Let's eat over there. Come on. And that's going to wrap up your Oakland Sports Update. We're going to take a quick break here on the GioMoShow, 88.3 FM WXOU, although we're just on YouTube and Spotify. We'll get back with it with your football therapy, baby. We're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions. How did he do in Week 2 against the Seattle Seahawks? We'll talk about that. What do you think they're going to do? What do I think they're going to do against Atlanta, how that game's going to go, and what we're facing? Or what we're going to be up against. We're going to be talking about that as well. And don't forget to tune in. We got Christian Stelling on the GioMoShow. The Stache is in the studio. We're going to talk about his career, how he came here from Missouri, how Jordan Banfield became a great connection to him, not only to Oakland, but to the USPBL as well, and how he had a fantastic season in the USPBL, being nominated Relief Pitcher of the Year. So we're going to have him on the show. Be sure to go find that interview. It's going to be coming up right next to this episode, so be sure to check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Like and subscribe. I'm talking YouTube language now. 5-star on Spotify. Look at me promoting. We'll be right back on the JoMo with your football therapy. Welcome back, everybody, to the GioMoShow, 88.3 FM WXOU. Giovanni Moscheri here, still the host of the GioMoShow, still the sports media director of WXOU, and still here, the doctor is here for your football therapy. Sit on the couch, let's have a session here. So, the Lions in Week 2 of the NFL lost to the Seahawks in overtime. It was a 38-31 loss, something like that. And things were looking a little bit shaky for the Lions, but overall, let me give you my big picture here. So in May, me and my cousins were sitting on that couch and we gave our predictions for the Lions season. And so far, I'm 2-0 in terms of predictions. I predicted that the Lions would beat Kansas City, but that would come at the cost of a loss to the Seahawks. My reasoning for that was those are some of your two most difficult, most challenging, best opponents that you're going to be having almost all season long. Obviously, you're going to see Dallas at the end of the season, but I mean, we're talking about it in the here and now. We beat the Chiefs at home on opening night. It was awesome. Of course, it was awesome. But the thing is, you got those are two of your best opponents. To go 1-1 against them, especially the way we did it by beating the Chiefs and the Seahawks, I'm not upset by it. Zooming out, 1-1, that's okay. That's not bad. 0-2, kind of bad news. 2-0, whoa, that's awesome. But 1-1 is where we're at. Some would argue, and I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I could kind of see the argument for it. If you beat the Seahawks, then you have the tiebreaker over them. But same thing as last year. Now the Seahawks have a tiebreaker over you if you guys are going to be competing for the playoffs. But if your goal, and I believe it's achievable and we got it, you got to win the division and you don't worry about Seattle. It's not a big deal. The seeding, I mean, you're still going to get a home game for at least the first round. And, you might face the Seahawks. And in that case, we'll get third time's a charm at home in Ford Field for a playoff game. Anyway, that's in the future. So I could see the tiebreaker thing being a thing, but if you're winning the division, no big deal. And I was not able to watch the game. I was listening to it because on Sunday I was in a studio for women's soccer against Purdue Fort Wayne. As I mentioned before in the previous episode about the Oakland Sports Update, be sure to check that out. Comment, like, and subscribe, YouTube Lingo, and 5-star on Spotify. Anyway, so I was not able to watch it. I was listening to Dan Miller and Lomas Brown. I love listening to those guys anyway, so it's not a big punishment, but it does come at the cost of being able to see what was happening in the game. But from what I was hearing, it was a bit, the Lions came out antsy. The Lions came out a couple penalties in the beginning. They came out very, very excited. Came off the win. That place was loud. It's their home opener against a bitter rival. And from what I could tell, the players were a little bit jittery as well. They were kind of they were a little juiced up as well. And you need to be calm. You need to be cool. You got to be collected in those kinds of games. And kind of came out as a bit of a shock. But the Lions, I mean, they kept up with it. Of course, pick six, that happened. Of course, I mean, that definitely it happened. Did it happen because Gibbs ran the wrong route? Who knows? I've been told by the Lions themselves that wasn't the case. Goff takes ownership of the pick six. Obviously, it didn't help, but we were still able to go into overtime against the Seahawks. And, I mean, we had a chance. I mean, to leave it to a coin flip is a bit of a questionable decision. So, I'm hearing some of the opinion that Dan Campbell was conservative at the end of the game, even though he's more the aggressive, more the go for the kill kind of team, not be conservative. Let's play for overtime. Yes, I can understand that as well. Kind of sticking to your identity. It's been working for you so far. It might work for you again, but also when it comes to being aggressive like that, and we're talking about fourth downs now, then it's going to be biting you a little bit. It worked. It worked in week 1. It didn't work in week 2. I mean, it's not something to change the whole strategy over. That's what happens when you gamble. That's what happens when Campbell gambles. I'm going to be using that more often now. But that's just what's going to happen here. And this time it bit you. And, speaking of gambling, you leave it to a coin flip. Seattle gets it and they go score. There was a hold on Hutchinson, sure. But we'll get into Hutchinson in a little bit. But just kind of zooming out on the game, like I mentioned before. I'm kind of scatterbrained with this, so forgive me if this is a little bit hard to follow. But that's kind of been my experience with the game. I wasn't able to watch it, so on the radio and on podcasts, I'm kind of piecing together how everything went. I know a ton of Lions got injured in that game. And I'm going to talk about that right now. We have now concerns about Amon-Ra St. Brown, turf toe perhaps, some lower body injury, something that maybe he can fight through. We'll see. Maybe something he could fight through. David Montgomery, he's going to be out a few weeks. That's not good. In a week and a half, he is proven to be a monster, especially behind this offensive line. And the fact that he had any success with the Bears, was incredible. And now that you get him behind a good O-line, he would be behind the O-line, then he's proven to be worth every penny and worth the upgrade to Jamal Williams. We love Swag Daddy, but dude, Montgomery's good. And now to see him injured, it's Gibbs' turn, man. It's time to prove why you drafted him the way you did. And you're going to have his competition, his direct competition in the first round of running backs of this past draft, Bijan Robinson. He's coming to town. And Gibbs is going to have to prove why he was drafted. He's going to have to prove why he was scouted the way he was. And, he's going to have to prove it. So far, it's been limited touches. It's been trying to acclimate him to things, try not to do too much with him. But, you're going to have to let it rip. Who else did you got? You got Zonovan Knight. You got Craig Reynolds behind him. Gibbs is going to have to be the star of the show. He's going to have to be the star of the show. He's going to have to get touches, whether it's running between the tackles, whether it's more jet sweeps to the outside, whether it's routes, short routes and all that. I mean, he's going to have to get involved. He's going to have to draw some attention because, as it looks like right now, the Lions' offense is looking a little bit depleted. Defense looking a little bit depleted too, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, the wide receiver room was already kind of shallow. You still don't have Jameson Williams. You're not going to have him until week 7. Now Amon-Ra St. Brown's a little bit hobbled. Tough guy, of course. I mean, I would like to think that he would still play, but it's still going to be there. Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds, they're good targets, but as the number one, as the focus, it's a bit of a shallow position group. And it's something that the Lions can work around, yes, but it's not looking good. It's not better now than it was before. Marvin Jones, he's got some work to do. The old veteran's got some work to do to make himself known, make himself valuable and contributive to the offense. So we're gonna have to see them step up, man. It's just gonna be that way. I think I've heard Antoine Green is injured. I think the rookie that we drafted in the later rounds. It's just the receivers are gonna have to step up a little bit. Gibbs is definitely gonna have to step up and probably be one of those receivers in some of the plays. He's gonna have to run in between the tackles, and is it gonna be a run by committee? I mean, if that means that if Gibbs still gets his touches in the committee, still gets a good amount of touches, then I'm fine with it. But I'm not here looking for a vanilla 2 yards a carry of just running random guys behind a good old line who is also not the healthiest they have been. So I mean, the Lions offense, they're already experiencing some of those struggles in terms of injuries and stuff. Let's go to the defense. We'll cover James Houston first. He's out for 2 months now. Our secret weapon, our secret sauce, the let the bulldog loose, the foaming at the mouth on the chain. You let him loose on a pass play, but he's coming out for 2 months now. And who does that leave on the defensive line? I like Kaminsky, but as a primary, he's going to be there all the time. I mean, he's not a star in the league. He's a good player, but more of a complimentary, I would say. You got Hutchinson. He's good, but he's been struggling to produce. Got a bunch of pressures against the Chiefs. Not much against the Seahawks. So Hutchinson, again, is going to be the main focus on the defensive line. Aleem McNeil is, he's there. Isaiah Buggs is somewhere else. I don't know where Isaiah Buggs is. I'm looking for... he made a lot of good plays last year. I'm not sure what the deal is, and we saw before that he deleted his social media, and he said it was he was kind of talking cryptically. Our sports director, he's under the assumption that it's a behavior thing, and they're restricting his play time because of what he did on social media and kind of the way maybe the way he's acting in the locker room. I don't know. I mean, that's his theory. I don't know, but. Either way, I haven't seen Isaiah Buggs. I like the guy. I would rather him be there against one of the best rushing attacks in the league with one of the best running backs in the league in Bijan Robinson, who is already one of the best in the league. I know the Christian McCaffrey comp is real, I would say. But I'd rather have Isaiah Buggs there, but for some reason he's not. CJ Gardner-Johnson is out. Gone. We don't know how long it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be a bad one, and we're not going to see him for a long time is what it sounds like. We lost Mr. this sounds disrespectful. We lose the ski mask. We lose that attitude. We lose that this ain't the same. It's a big piece of the leadership in just one year on a 1-year deal. He already came in and he has electrified, has empowered, and has juiced up the defense, especially adding to that secondary. That's been something that we've been needing to upgrade for a little bit now. Now he's gone. And thank goodness that it's a position that we're not as shallow in. At safety, I mean, we got Brian Branch, we got Kirby Joseph. Tracy Walker, he's going to be making a start against the Falcons for the first time in almost exactly a year, actually. He went out week 3 against the Vikings in Minnesota. He's going to be making a return. So he hasn't played in a year, but it's like the safety room is like, okay, if somewhere had to go down, fine. But I mean, the leadership loss is huge on that one. That one is that's a tough pill to swallow for the rest of the team, and it's going to come down to Aaron Glenn. It's going to come down to some of the leadership from Cam Sutton as well. Manuel Mosley, we don't know, unsure of his return. I mean, we knew that when we signed him, but it's like okay, we're kind of up against it now. You got a 2-0 team coming into your town, ready to roll, ready to keep rolling, ready to roll the Bijan bowling ball down, ready to put some mustard on it. Also, Bijan doing Dijon mustard ads, stuff writes itself. Sometimes advertising is easy. But one other topic that I wanted to get into in regards to this game, in regards to the Seahawks game and even like some of this season, Hutchinson has been getting held, and it was very obvious on the last play of the game. And it was nationally known that against the Chiefs, and you had the tackle. He's been jumping off, and now he's been benched after being flagged a lot for it now, as the refs have kind of caught on to it. So Hutch has been under some distress, yes, but in year 2, when we saw against the Chiefs was awesome. What we saw against the Seahawks, crickets. I love Aiden Hutchinson, and he's a young player, and he's still improving, and he's got every intangible that you need to see for him to eventually become that huge, game-breaking defensive end that every team is gunning for and wants and needs. But think about this. So, same time last year, or I think it was week 4 last year against the Seahawks, we heard that the Seahawks, they're starting 2 rookie tackles. Oh, Hutchinson's going to feast. Hutchinson's going to tear him up. Gino's going to be scared. And what happened last year? Crickets. This year, they're out there 2 starting tackles. Hutchinson, now in year 2, he's going to feast. Crickets. Again. So, it's something I had a feeling of coming into the game. I mentioned it on my show last week. I must have. I sure have thought it, but it's the same thing that happened last year, and it looks like Seattle, they just have a good game plan for it. Pete Carroll's a good coach, dude. Like, come on. And what I've heard that from those who watched the game a little bit more closely, that they saw the running backs then picking up Hutchinson. You saw some chips from the tight ends, and like you had like more of a committee to handle that to overcome the loss of the 2 tackles. But Hutchinson was kind of crickets. The only sack we got was Anzalone after like 7 touches on Gino, and he was, backing up, and Anzalone just came flying down and said, "Screw this, I want to go home," and got the single sack. But we're still looking for Hutchinson, man. And what I want to say, and again, I love Hutchinson. He's young, I get it, but how long are we going to say that he's being held? How long are we going to say that he's being screwed or cheated and like he's not getting the attention? And if it weren't for this, then he'd be feasting. I'm not there yet, but how long until it's on Hutchinson to overcome that stuff? How long until it becomes like we realize that that's just part of the game sometimes. Some of the best defensive ends, they get held. Bosa, Crosby, Watt. You better believe that they get held sometimes, but they still get home. Sacks have a lot of factors to it. I understand that. But like stuff like pressures, QB hits, like how long until it's on him to be able to overcome that? How long will it take for him to develop that? And like, you get what I mean? It's like we blame other things, but how long until we blame the common denominator? Not there yet. I'm getting closer, but I'm not there yet. But I think it's a worthwhile question to ask for those who are waiting for Hutch to break out, waiting for that multi-sack game and for that 12-plus sack season that some people have been predicting. I mean, not a bad prediction. Not a half in a rookie season. 12 the second year. That's reasonable. It's been done. It's a real life, believable prediction. It would be great, but so far, not much. So we're gonna wait to see what Hutchinson does now against. He's not gonna be rushing the quarterback, dropping back to pass. They're gonna be dumping it to Bijan. So we're gonna see Hutch probably go without a sack again, just given the opponent, and he's gonna have to play in the flats. He's gonna have to be watching Bijan and keep his assignments. So that's what we're kind of looking forward to with the Falcons. And to get into the Falcons themselves, then, dude, the Falcons are kind of scary. The Falcons are 2-0, which I know the rest of the South is, but they look really solid. I said it on Jake's Takes talking about week 1 predictions. I think that the week 1 game was the Falcons and Panthers. The Falcons are a much more established team. Arthur Smith has been there for 1 or 2 years. Desmond Ridder's not a rookie. Kyle Pitts is definitely not a rookie. I don't know what's been happening with him. Drake London, he's going into year 2. Good, very good receiver. Got some upgrades on defense. They got some leadership in Calais Campbell. They got Jesse Bates from the Bengals. He already has a pick this season. So we're seeing some improvements, and they're like much more established. They absolutely have an identity of running the ball with one of the best running backs in the league in Dijon Mustard Robinson. So that's the team that's coming into your house. I guess we've been handling the run pretty well. So it's something that's not like you could drive a semi through the middle of the defense, but that's a very established, that's a very dangerous running game that's coming into Ford Field. Not only is it Bijan Robinson, but it's 1,000-yard rushing rookie season, 1,000 yards. Tyler Algier, he's there. You got veteran, not a running back, a joker, Cordell Patterson. They don't have him listed as a running back. He's a joker. His position is J. So that's the running back room that you're going up against. You got Bijan, you got Algier, you got Patterson against Gibbs, Reynolds, and Knight. It's looking like a mismatch, running back to running back. And they look scary, man. And then when you bite too much on the run, we're all human, you're going to do that. Then they have the ability, Desmond Ridder can launch to the Drake London. London and Robinson, they gel well together. They complement each other in terms of just like their positions. And, you run Bijan a lot, and then gotcha, Drake London. So I'm nervous about it, man. But it is at home. And the way I look at it and the way I kind of predict some of these games is how shocking would it be for the records after the game to be this and this. So if the Lions lose, then the Falcons are 3-0 and the Lions are 1-2. A little less believable to me than both of us being 2-1, So I still think the Lions got it. I'm holding out hope for it. I think, especially being at home, I'm going to pick the Lions in this one. Unless, we got to see how bad the injuries are going to be to the team. And look at me, I'm already making excuses, but I'm still going to ride with it. Goff will not have the pressure and the curse of the freaking non-interception, non-interception streak that they've been talking about all week long. And of course he throws a pick six after talking about it for so much. Of course it's going to happen. Come on, I can't stand active streak stats, dude. Like, just wait until they naturally break and say, oh, he had this many passes without an interception. That's third all time. He was really close to 2 all time. Say it afterwards. Don't go building it up every day, and that's all you talk about the Lions. That was so frustrating to see. It was like, I can't remember. I had an example. Never forget it. But either way, I got the Lions in this one. Home field advantage. I'm going to ride with it, and I believe 2-1 for both teams is more realistic than 3-0 for the Falcons. I love the Falcons though. I think they're winning the division. And it's not me saying it late now that I know they're good. You got 3 teams at 2-0 in that division. Baker looks awesome. Saints getting by. But either way, taking the Lions, but I'm nervous. So I hope you all have enjoyed your session of football therapy with Dr. Jomo. And we're going to see what's going to be happening with the Lions in week 3. And just an update on my Pick'em League. Last week I talked about that I was going to talk about how many games I got picked correctly. And I never said it. I put it on screen, but I never ended up saying it. But to kind of recap, so last week, or week 1, I picked 13 of 16 games correct because I'm built that way, baby. And then this week, 11 of 16 because I'm built that way, baby. I won in week 1. Week 2, I'm like 3rd place, but overall I'm still in 1st. We rocking with 24 games picked correctly already out of 36 or out of 32. We're rocking and rolling, man. So, I don't have all my picks up in front of me. You know what? Let me go get my picks. We'll close this. We'll get back to it. Let me give you my picks and kind of we'll kind of go over them. You know, we'll put them on screen. We'll put my money where my mouth is. You know, right now the Giants and 49ers are playing. I mean, picks already in, but we'll get into that. Give me a break, and I'll give you guys my picks for the week. Welcome back, everybody. Final segment of Football Therapy. I'm going to be giving you my picks for the week, as I've been bragging about my 24 games picked correctly out of 2 weeks in the NFL. So let me scroll through and just give you what I'm getting. So right now, as of the recording of this, it's about like 9 o'clock on Thursday night. It's 3-3, 49ers and Giants. I picked the 49ers, as every human being should. That is insane. Then it's Lions-Falcons. I'm picking Lions in this one. Bills versus Washington, or Bills at Washington. I got the Bills. Broncos at Dolphins. I got the Dolphins. Texans at Jaguars. Jaguars got to beat them. I mean, come on. Colts at Ravens. Ravens got to beat them. They're at home. Chargers at Vikings. This one is interesting because both of these teams kind of stink. Kind of should be good, but for me, I got the Chargers in this one. I just got a gut feeling. I don't necessarily have a reasoning for every single pick, but like you got a gut feeling here. And you got to mix in some road games when you're doing pick'em. You got to get some road dogs. As the Chargers, or looking at CBS Sports Pick'em, current odds are Minnesota -1. You know, very close. It's basically a coin flip. Come on. So I got the Chargers because I think their offense is enough to win on the road, especially against the Vikings. So, I mean, to pick a road win, I think that the Chargers are worth or are able to do it. Patriots at Jets. It's close, but it's going to be a really, really ugly game. I hope, they better. The Jets better start just running the ball, get it out of Zach Wilson's hand, make it easier on him. It's going to be an ugly game, and the Jets got one of the best defenses. I would pick the better defense in an ugly game like that, so I'm going with the Jets at home against the Patriots. You know, I would love to see them go 0-3, the Patriots. We got Saints at Green Bay. Saints, like I mentioned, they are 2-0, and kind of getting by. Green Bay is -1.5 as of CBS Sports. I got the Packers in this one just because I think, this one's also kind of a coin flip. Like I mentioned, it's It's 1.5. The Saints have been kind of shaky. I like the Saints, but it's not enough hasn't proven enough. Oh, wait a minute. Let me look at wait a minute. Hold on. Aaron Jones is questionable. Christian Watson is questionable. Rashawn Gary is questionable. You know what? I forgot to look at some of the injuries, and luckily I got time for this. Honestly, without Aaron Jones, I've heard that's going to be rough. Without Aaron Jones, I kind of like the Saints in this one to win on the road in Green Bay. So we're going to go with the Saints on the road because, it was against the Bears, obviously, when the Packers beat the Bears, and Aaron Jones went off. It was a bad defense, of course, but when you have now a regular quarterback, let's call it, instead of a Hall of Famer immediately, like Aaron Rodgers, you're going to lean on the running backs more, especially the talented ones, especially the ones like Aaron Jones, and they got his skill set. If he's questionable, then that's a big target taken out. Christian Watson, that's a big target taken out. You got Romeo Doubs and your rookie tight end from Notre Dame. I'm not liking Green Bay's weapons. What I do like is I like Chris Olave, and I like Michael Thomas. And, it's not crazy. Saints defense, I think, is pretty good too. So I got Saints in this one. Titans and Browns. Browns got screwed with that awful looking injury to Nick Chubb. And that one was just ugly. It's a football tragedy, really, because that dude was amazing. Is amazing. And the Browns offense, they really rally around what he's able to do, and they build their offense around it. So because they lost their biggest piece, then I'm going to go Titans on the road on this one. It's not going to be a pretty game. Deshaun Watson still has a lot to prove, so I'm going to wait at least until he proves it before I start relying on Deshaun Watson to carry the Browns. But he's been paid like he's supposed to carry them, so we'll see what happens. But for now, I got the Titans. I think they're just going to Derrick Henry it, and we'll see what happens. Panthers at Seahawks. Seahawks coming off a big win. I think the Seahawks are very talented. I'm going to give it Seahawks at home against Carolina, who's got to go cross country, by the way. So Panthers, it's a young team, it's a developing team. It is kind of coming out of a rebuild, I guess. But Panthers are just not as loaded as the Seahawks are. Seahawks better win that one at home. So I got the Hawks. Bears at Chiefs. Chiefs. Cowboys at Cardinals. Cowboys. Steelers and Raiders. This one is also kind of close. Las Vegas favored 2.5. The 3 points to the home team kind of deal. I'm just not too sure. These are some ugly teams too. These are old school. They're going to be playing highlights from the 70s. Immaculate reception replays are going to be playing during that game. It's an ugly one, but it's tough because you got two of some of the best edge rushers. You got T.J. Watt and you got Max Crosby. Receivers, it's tough, man. This one's tough, and I'm reviewing my picks as well. So I have the Steelers winning on the road, but honestly, I don't trust either team very much. If it is a 50-50, then I'm going with Steelers. I feel like the roster is a little bit better. I trust the coaching a lot more for the Steelers to go on the road. We'll go with the Steelers, although this is not leaving a good taste in my mouth. Eagles at Bucks, both 2-0 teams. I love the Bucks right now, man. They're doing great. The Eagles are sloppy. I got to think that the Eagles are going to figure it out. I got to think that the Eagles are going to look like that Super Bowl team again, at least a little bit more, kind of have more cohesiveness between the offense and the defense. I got to pick Philly in this one. Philly is favored by 5. I'm going to go Eagles, but would I be surprised with the Bucks? No, but that doesn't count. It's win or loss. I got the Eagles in this one. And finally, Monday Night Football is going to be a Super Bowl 2 years ago rematch of the Rams at Bengals. Bengals are looking a little banged up. Let's look at the matchup here. Cincinnati's got the home field advantage of -3 or 3 points favored. Rams, Puka Nacua, he's questionable. You got a few more injuries there. Joe Burrow's calf, that's a concern as well. Honestly, Stafford, yeah, it's tough, man. He doesn't have a lot to throw to, but Cincinnati really relies on Burrow, and a calf injury sucks to go through. So I'm kind of liking but the Bengals going 3-0 would be insane, right? Man, you know what? I might just have to give it to the home team. I might have to give it to the Bengals just because, Stafford's great and all, but the Bengals, their roster is pretty good all around, at least a little bit more than the Rams are. We're going home team on this one. We're going Bengals, and they're asking for the tiebreaker. I say that there's I'll say 35-point total, because they asked me for it. So that is going to be the JoMo Show's week 3 picks on the JoMo Show. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys enjoyed your football therapy. Hope you enjoyed your week. Hope you're going to be going out to the arena and enjoying your Oakland sports. Hope that you're going to be watching a whole bunch of NFL and you're going to be tuning into the JoMo Show again to rewatch and see where I'm wrong and to see how many games I get right or wrong, baby. That's how we roll on the JoMo Show. We're going to wrap it up here now. 88.3 FM WXOU. Giovanni Mosheri here for the JoMo Show, signing off and seeing you guys next week. And watch the Christian Stelling interview.